Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So in my previous video I started discussion on Kafka Producer and I have basically covered two very important concepts. Number one is the key, which is used to send a particular message in a particular partition after applying hashing, and that key we pass with the actual message value part, right? And then I have also covered about message acknowledgement. What are the different types of message acknowledgement present in Kafka, like async equal to 0, async equal to 1, async equal to all, etc. Also I have covered. So that is related to producer I was discussing. So in my this particular video also I will just discuss about Kafka Producer internal, and in my next video onwards I will switch to Kafka consumer section. Okay, already I have covered about topics and brokers, etc. So if you know producer and consumer, and already as per earlier discussion, I hope you are aware of topic, brokers, etc. So overall your Kafka architecture will be very clear. Okay, so let's see about Kafka Producer internals. So what happens, this is our suppose application, and using API, that can be Java API or Python API, we produce a message and we send that, okay, in our Kafka cluster. So this is one record, and the record might contain these different parts. One is topic, in which the record we want to put, then partition. Okay, partition is saying in which partition I want to write my record. Okay, generally we don't use this particular option much, but rather we use key value pair. The value part contain actual message, and key part basically used for calculating in which partition the message will be sitting. Okay, on the key we apply hashing algorithm, and then based on hashing output the message is stored in a particular partition among multiple partitions in our Kafka topic, right? So once we send the record, first thing what happens, that the producer will do serialization, okay, for the both key and value. And why this is done? So this is a simple concept like what we studied in our Java serialization topics. Like whenever you want to send some object via network, then you cannot simply send the object, right? You have to send via network the binary data, that is 0-1 form of string. So whenever we need this kind of communication via network, then we have to use serializer to convert that message to a binary string so that it can be sent. Okay, so we are using serializer here, so that key value, both of them will be converted to binary using this serializer. Okay, that's what is the first step. So once we send the record, first thing what producer will do is serialization for both the key and value. Okay, it will convert them from object to byte array so that it can be sent across networks, right? Now next step is partitioner. Okay, so after serialization the data is sent to partitioner, and at this stage the producer will determine to which partition of the topic the record will be sent. Okay, maybe it might happen that in your topic there are multiple partitions available. So as you know, in my previous video also I explained it, apply hashing algorithm. So like one simple approach here I have written, on our key whatever we are sending, the particular hashing algorithm will be applied, and then we divide that by total number of partitions present for that topic. Okay, and based on the remainder value the message will be sent to the destination partition. Okay, like that a simple hashing function can be, right? So that's what the partitioner does, it calculates to which particular partition the data should be written. Okay, now once the partition of the particular record is determined, what happens, that the record is not directly written in Kafka cluster, but rather it is written into one particular partition's buffer. So for different partitions we are having internal buffer, and in that buffer the data is written. It is not directly sent to Kafka cluster. Okay, so buffer, as you know, like normally we study in our computer science applications, that is it accumulates some messages, that's all it is doing. Okay, kind of kinesis fire hose kind of behavior it is following. Okay, now while we are keeping the buffer, basically whenever it will keep on accumulate the records, it can determine wisely how efficiently it can do different IO operations and compression. Okay, maybe if you just consider run length encoding, just think like that way. So if run length encoding, if we are applying in the back end, then we need certain amount of data to understand the frequency and all, right? So buffer is required to properly determine the IO and compression. So that's what producer does here. Producer will try to batch the record for efficiency in IO and compression. Okay, now once the data is written in this particular partitions buffer, what happens, from the buffer multiple batches are created. Okay, So batch you can consider as multiple messages we are clubbing into batches. Okay, what should be the batch size that you can mention in your Kafka configuration? Okay, so there are two important concepts what I have written. One is linger.ms, another one is batch size. Okay, so what happens from the buffer, Kafka start creating different batches and then it send each batch to Kafka cluster. So not a single message, but rather it accumulates some message and after that it send that all message together, that is whatever message is available in a batch, that complete batch is put into Kafka cluster. Okay, now there these two important parameter comes, linger ms, batch size. So what is this linger ms? The linger ms instructs producer to wait up to certain millisecond before sending the content. Okay, so suppose you are mentioning linger ms to 5 millisecond. Okay, so what will happen from the buffer to Kafka cluster, before sending the data, the Kafka cluster will wait for 5 millisecond to accumulate certain amount of messages, and after 5 millisecond it will send to Kafka cluster. Okay, and there is another important parameter which is batch size. Suppose you are mentioning batch size equal to 5 MB, just consider, and linger ms you are mentioning to 5 milliseconds. Okay, now what happens that in Kafka buffer the messages are keep on coming, either it will wait for 5 milliseconds, or suppose in the accumulation of messages it exceeds 5 MB. Whatever happens first among the timeout of linger ms or the batch size, whatever condition satisfied first, based on that it will send the batch to Kafka cluster. That's the simple concept. Okay, so it is same like in Firehose also we configure, right, that at least this much volume of data you accumulate or wait at least this much amount of time, after that you publish the batch into S3. Like that same approach the linger ms and batch size is following. Okay, and then the data is written to Kafka cluster, as simple as that. Now it might happen that due to some network issue or something the message writing is failing. Okay, so if it fails, what Kafka will do, you can basically configure retry, that Kafka will not simply throw an exception if it is failed. If you configure retry, Kafka will try to rewrite the message in Kafka cluster. Suppose you are mentioning retry value 5, so 5 times it will retry. If then also it is not able to write the message in Kafka cluster, it will throw an exception. But suppose if it is able to write, if it is not failing, then what the Kafka cluster will do, it will basically send record metadata to the app using which we are writing. That may be Java app or Python app, whatever. Okay, and that record metadata will contain partition, in which partition the data is written, then offset, what is the offset inside the partition, and the timestamp. So basically timestamp is indicating about the record when it arrived, when it is written, etc. Okay, so this is all about our Kafka producer interface, right? I hope you understood this. This particular picture I'll be sharing in the description box or in the comment section, so that you can have a look, keep it stored for future reference or etc. Just if you're not able to understand any particular part, just go through the video once again, or just you can ask me in the comment section, because this concept is important to understand the programming part in Kafka producer. Okay, suppose you are facing issue somewhere, like just consider one common issue like this way. Suppose the producer is producing messages in a very high rate. Okay, and here buffer volume, suppose you are mentioning 32 MB. Okay, but the messages are coming in so high speed that here before accumulation itself the 32 MB volume is exceeding. Okay, then what will happen, the messages will not get any scope to write in the buffer and messages will not be written in Kafka cluster. That time you might have to increase the buffer volume. So this kind of tuning you will able to do, or this kind of bug you will able to solve only if you have an architecture idea. Okay, and that's why I am trying to cover the theory first, and then I will go to the programming section. So this is all for this video. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment. Subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you.